Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again to the High School Sports Beat. I am Dave Yates. It is time now for the High School Notebook, and that means it is time for Matt Trabold to join us. Matt, thanks once again for joining us on the High School Notebook.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey, let's talk about a mainstay in the area lacrosse circles who is stepping aside, and that would be the head coach at Victor.
A definite surprise in the local sports world and the lacrosse world as a whole happened last Saturday as national name Victor boys lacrosse head coach Jim Andre stepped down from that role. He became head man in 2013, and Victor was one of the top few big-name programs nationally over his tenure. State titles in 2015, 16, 17, 19, 6 straight sectional titles, plus 9 U.S. Lacrosse High School Americans. And that includes Syracuse star Jamie Trabold and also T.D. Erland face-off legend. They both achieved it twice. His tenure also featured a 50-game winning streak, which was a national record. I talked on the phone with him that day, and he said it was a decision for his family, very understandable, and that he's looking forward to cheering on his own children in their lacrosse pursuits. He mentioned how thankful he is for all the positive responses to his decision on social media and to his cell phone, just kind of across the board, what has been coming into him in the short time since he made that decision. That includes getting texts from 2 different major college lacrosse coaches within just a couple minutes of the news being sent out on Twitter by the Victor Lacrosse account. One of the tweets giving him love that day was from T.D. Erland, I mentioned him a second ago, and that included him saying he wouldn't be where he is today without Andre. Positive impact as a coach and as a person and leader of student athletes is immense.
That's fantastic. They're always a tough choice, but family's got to come first. So best of luck to him in the future, and thanks for everything that he has done for the kids in our area. Now let's talk, it's the holiday season. It's a time for food and friends and family, not as much getting together as usual, but for a lot of people, it's also the bowl season more important. Let's talk about a couple of local players and a couple of local, at least one local team or area team in bowl action.
As expected, college football bowl season, much different this time around in pandemic times. The Buffalo Bulls, with their handfuls of former Section 5 products, were in the Camellia Bowl against the Marshall team ranked for much of this season, including the CFP poll, that big poll late in the season, and with an elite run defense coming from the Thundering Herd. Like usual, the starting O-line featuring Mike Nowitzki from Victor and Jack Klenk from Pittsford opened things up for Kevin Marks Jr. to have another big rushing day. Starting tight end Zach LaFave from Victor was involved catching the football, unsurprisingly. He does that a lot. He's made a habit of it over the years there with the Bulls. Safety Corey Gross Jr. from Brockport was second on the team in this game in tackles with 8 of those bad boys. One of the biggest plays of the game came from Eric Black, defensive end from Rush Henrietta, as Marshall was upon the UB red zone trying to tie it at 17 with around 10 seconds left. Big moment in the game, and he had the big chase down block as one of his 2 sacks on the day. And talking about another tie locally in bowl season, former Pittsburgh Panthers running back Josh Mack and Liberty were in the Cure Bowl against 12th ranked and undefeated Coastal Carolina. Mack didn't get too many touches in the first quarter and a half, but found all sorts of success through the last majority of the game. He had arguably his finest rushing performance of the season, 105 yards, 14 carries. So obviously a big yards per carry number there. Plus 22 receiving yards on top of it. He had spin moves, big stiff arms, running over dudes, 5 runs of 12 yards or more, and Penn State transfer kicker Alex Barbier won it for the Flames in overtime. It was a big season for Mac as a whole.
I think with some of the bowls that are out there right now, if you and I wait around long enough, we're going to have a bowl game named after us. And
so many different great names, 2 of them.
I think we deserve it too, right? So, hey, let's talk about, speaking of names, let's talk about a name change coming up that might catch some people off guard.
So the Brighton Central School District announced earlier on in 2020 that they would be changing their team name from the Barons due to the history of the term Baron. A little while back, they put out a poll to decide the new mascot between Bulldogs, Bruins, Bobcats. They drummed up some really cool-looking logos with all 3 of those options as well. So this kind of campaign to see who the next team name, mascot, nickname, whatever you want to call it, it had some very highly successful social media posts asking people to help decide the nickname. Some big names publicly gave their votes in the name competition, including Cleveland Indians 40-man roster member Ernie Clement, who voted for Bruins, and another vote for Bruins in tweet form came from UCLA athletic director Martin Jarman, after well-known sports psychologist around here for the University of Rochester Medical Center, Craig Seifer, asked him on Twitter. When it was all said and done, Bruins won the competition. 2 Brighton teams especially keep an eye on if high school sports able to happen the remainder of the school year. Football, girls hoops, and plus a lot more on top of that. Bruins, baby.
All right. Hey, always great stuff, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
All right. We'll see you next week. We're back with more of the High School Sports Beat right after this.